Hi everyone, it's Rax. Today I want to make a video that I'm actually surprised. I don't think I've ever made this ever in Diablo, which is shocking. I want to show you how to get the best items in the game that are now called Mythic Uniques. And I've farmed a ton of them so far in the first week or so of Diablo 4 Season 5. I'm wearing some. I have a bunch right here, not including all the ones that I salvaged. So this guide is going to, again, like most of my guides, start from the very basics. I'm going to tell you all about how would you get them, why would you be interested in them, and then we'll go into the strategies of exactly how would you get as many as fast as possible. All right, so let's start at the beginning. What the hell are these? Why are these purple when our legendaries are this color and our uniques are this color? So there is a higher tier of items called Mythic Uniques. Now, they have certainly had a history in Diablo 4, from on the launch not being able to be farmed anywhere to now being pretty easily farmable if you know what you're doing. And in this patch, they had a massive buff to what they do for you. For example, this is Harlequin Crest, very commonly known in the community as a Shaco because it's what it was called in Diablo 2. Gives you massive life, more resource. It solves your armor for you. It gives you 20% cooldown before masterworking. It gives you 20% damage reduction, just straight damage reduction to everything. And yes, +4 to all skills. Or you might be hunting for something like this, Tyrael's Might, which gives you massive movement speed, massive damage reduction, 10 to maximum resist all elements. That's maximum all res. So if you go into the stats here, instead of having 70, now you have 80. This is a colossal damage or damage reduction for you to stay alive. It solves all res for you and also makes your attacks shoot a divine barrage. So these are Mythic Uniques, and they're godly, and you want them. So that's why we're making this video. Now, where would you get them? Well, you can get them anywhere in the game, but not really. You could technically get them anywhere, but they're very, very rare unless you farm them from the Endgame Bosses. Now, there are some Endgame Bosses, and we'll talk about all of them. We'll just look at Duriel here for a second, in these little gates with the little skulls on top of them. Okay? And you need to get materials to summon them. You're going to need the specific materials for each boss. And then there is a uber version of each boss, the tormented version. It costs 3 times the materials for 5 times the rewards. And it's those tormented bosses that you want to fight to really farm all of these mythic uniques. It is a lot better to farm up some mats to go farm these bosses and then find people to play with, to share the materials. So if you have 5 Duriel summons and you team up with 3 other people who also have 5 Duriel summons, you're going to get way more kills, you're going to get way more Mythic Uniques. Sharing is caring. Unfortunately, the social systems in Diablo 4 currently suck. There's no party finder, the clans are dumb, there's no good like global chats or anything, there's no auction houses. It's really, really lacking. Hopefully Blizzard improves it. For now, if you want to, you can go to the Maxroll Discord and look for friends there if you don't have any, something like that. So keep that in mind. So, the other thing, if you're going to fight tormented bosses, besides the individual materials that they require, you also need Stygian Stones. You need one to summon the tormented version of the boss. And the best place to get that is the new game mode, the Infernal Hordes. So as you get stronger and stronger and stronger, and you go higher and higher in the tiers, when you open the material chest in the end game, which also gives you your masterworking materials, they will drop Stygian Stones. Those stones are required to summon the tormented bosses. So, let me show you some of the mats. So to fight Zir, you need, I call it Exquisite blood from Borat, so this is Exquisite blood. You need Living Steel to fight Grigor, and I guess let me show you where they all are. So Zir is right here, to the right of Kmart, right here. Okay. Then you have the Steel to fight Grigor. And Grigor is just south right here. So you port here and you ride down here. That's where Grigor is. All right. Then you're going to have, you have these femurs, but they actually made it easier in the last patch. You can actually, for Varshan, it used to require a ton of different kinds of materials. Now it only requires hearts. So if you get these weird things like these femurs, you can go to the alchemist and you can convert it into malignant hearts. And then you can go fight Varshan. Varshan is right next to the Tree of Whispers. He's right there. Okay. Then we have Andariel. Andariel is right here. Okay. Just right there. And then we have Duriel, which is the eggs, which is the one that I showed you in the beginning, right here. So now we're going to talk about each of these individually and which boss should you farm. So the first thing to understand is in the patch notes that they just had, and I think I have this pulled up actually. Yep. Let's look right here. All Tormented Bosses have 5 chances to drop a mythic at 1.5% each, 7.5 total chance, so you can get multiple Mythic Uniques on a drop. Now, this is significant. The reason why is it used to be that Duriel and Andariel were considered like the upper tier Uber bosses. You would farm the bosses below them to get the materials to then go fight them, and they had a better chance to drop you Mythic Uniques. This is not true anymore. You have an equal chance at all Uber bosses to get Mythic Uniques. So any of them would potentially be good. So then you say, okay, Rax, but how do I formulate a strategy on which one I should fight? Well, that's very easy to answer. Let's say, for example, right now in Season 5, the super popular build is Lightning Spear Sorcerer. The way that I would determine which boss I want to farm Mythic Uniques for is by ignoring Mythic Uniques. And why does that make any sense? I'm farming Mythic Uniques, now you're telling me to ignore them? Because look at your build and look at the uniques that you need that make the build work. Fractured Winterglass is required to play this build, and Talrasha's is a tremendous damage increase. So I would pick the Tormented boss that drops these items, so you can do 2 birds, 1 stone. Remember, all the bosses have an equal chance to drop the Mythic Uniques, so you're not going to really easily manipulate that other than your ability to farm the stones and farm the specific mats for that boss. So if that's not easily, manipulated, then you might as well fight the one that drops all the stuff that you need. Maxroll has a boss loot table cheat sheet. Fractured Winterglass, no problem. Control F for find Winter Glass. Here it is, and it's dropped off of Zir. Zir needs Exquisite blood, so I would be looking up how to farm Exquisite blood. I think one of the best ways is actually to go to Helltide and to farm the different events there and the Blood Maiden to try to get this. But some of these materials will drop kind of everywhere. As you level up to 100, you will have some Exquisite blood, you will have some malignant hearts, all of those different things to fight the bosses. So this is how I determine Talrasha's is dropped by Varshan. So as a Lightning Spear Sorcerer, I'm trying to fight Varshan and Lord Zir. All right? Another thing is, if your build isn't that strong, you might just want to try to fight the boss that you can kill. Varshan and Zir are, I would say, by far the easiest. Then I would say Duriel and Grigor are like the next tier. And Beast in Ice is very tough. If you can't just Zerg him down, Beast in Ice is pretty tough, and Andariel is probably one of the hardest ones. So that's kind of like the difficulty tier list, I would say, right now, at least from the builds that I've played. Okay, so now we know where the bosses are. We know they drop the Mythic Uniques. We know to look at the build with the boss table cheat sheet to figure out which ones we want to kill. And now let's get to maybe another question that you have is, okay, Rax, just tell me, I'm logging into Diablo. I only have an hour to play. What do you think that I should do? For me, the easiest way, again, to find the Stygian Stones is just to do the Infernal Hordes and open the Materials chest, the highest tier that you can do comfortably. Tier 7 is beautiful if you have a character that's strong. For me, the easiest thing to farm is the Distilled Fear. The Distilled Fear, and that's to fight Beast in Ice. Again, it's one of the more difficult bosses, but Distilled Fear is so easy to farm because you just do Nightmare Dungeons. You usually have to do Nightmare Dungeons anyway to level up your glyphs, so you can very easily rack up Distilled Fear quickly. So if you do a few hours of Nightmare Dungeons, rack up the Distilled Fear, then if you can go do a couple waves of the Infernal Hordes and get the Stygian Stones, now you'll have a nice bank to summon Beast in Ice a couple of times. You go to the Maxroll Discord and say, looking for group, I have this many Distilled Fear, I can summon this many Tormented Beast in Ice. Who wants to share? And there you go. It's going to be beautiful. I've gotten Living Steel. If you want to fight Grigor, I've seen Living Steel in Helltide in the chests. Seems to drop very often. And you can see it has in the tooltip here, it drops randomly from elites, local events, Whisper Cassius, Hellborn, and the Blood Maiden. This seems to drop a lot for me in Helltide, which nobody really does anymore. Same for Exquisite Blood, especially off of the Blood Maiden. You get the eggs and the different materials for Andariel from killing the other lower tormented bosses, Beast and Ice, Zir, Varshan, and whichever one I missed, Grigor. And then Malignant Hearts seem to drop anywhere. Another good source of these is World Bosses. The World Bosses can drop them at the end of Legion events. Sometimes the vampires spawn or whatever the extra mods spawn. You can kill them as well. Remember that you can transmute the bones and the femurs and all that stuff into Malignant Hearts to fight Varshan. So anyway, then you go farm these beautiful, godly Mythic Uniques, and you put them on your build. So then you might ask, well, what happens if I get something I don't need? Ahavarion Spear of Lysander. Not really used in any build that I've seen. Same with Melted Heart of Salvage. Nobody seems to use this either. What you can do with these is you can salvage them. And when you salvage them, it gives you Resplendent Sparks, which are right here in your inventory. When you have 4 Resplendent Sparks, you can craft any Uber Unique that you want. And the place that you do that is, again, at the Alchemist. So let's go up here. If I had 4 Resplendent Sparks, we can go here, and we can craft any one of the Mythic Uniques that we want. So you might ask, well, can I get Resplendent Sparks in the game? Yes, you can. From doing the Reputation turn-ins, which are here in Zimbabwe, right here, from getting to the max rank, you will get 1 Resplendent Spark. For killing any Tormented Boss, the first one of the season, any one of them, you will get 1 Resplendent Spark. And my personal favorite, for killing Lilith, which is the hardest one by far, and doesn't require anything to summon her. You can go try her right now if you want to for free. You get a Resplendent Spark for killing her. That's why if you pop by my stream anytime in the last week, I've been spending 3 hours a day nonstop killing Lilith for people so they could get their 3rd spark. So if just by playing the game, and if you kill Lilith and kill 1 tormented boss, you will have 3. So what that means is when any Uber Unique drops or Mythic Unique, if you get an Ahavarion Spear of Lysander, but you really wanted a Shaco, you can just salvage it and craft the new one. Beware, it costs 50 million gold. But there is an easy way also to get 50 million gold. So you craft a cost 50 million. You want to know how you get 50 million gold? Do an Infernal Horde, and then at the end, don't get any items. Just open the gold, and you can actually get more than 50 million gold, depending upon how much Aether you had and what level you were doing. That's the easiest way to get 50 million gold in the game by far. And I think, unless I'm missing something, that covers pretty much everything. We talked about what Mythic Uniques are and where to get them and why they're so strong. I showed you where all the bosses are, explained all of the different materials, and explained to you, look at your build guide and see, oh, okay, while I'm farming for Mythic Uniques, I want to also grab Fractured Winterglass and Talrashas. Boss loot table cheat sheet, by the way, it's under resources. It's because it's zoomed in. Resources over here. Boss loot table cheat sheet. Control F for find. Okay. Winterglass. Boom. Okay. It drops off Zir. So I want Exquisite blood. Okay. That's the best boss that you could be farming at the same time. We showed how to craft it. And probably the best strategy that I've seen is just to really quickly detonate Nightmare Dungeons for 3 Distilled Fear apiece. That can get you a lot of Beast and Ice summons very quickly. And then you get the stones by doing Infernal Hordes, by opening the Materials tab. Then sharing is caring. Talk in World Chat, maybe at the World Boss, say, hey, after the World Boss, anybody want to go farm some Tormented Bosses? I can summon Beast in the Ice 7 times. Someone be like, oh yeah, I got 6 summons. Oh yeah, I got 5. Okay, boom, there you go. You got your party. Blizzard, help us. We need better social systems. Those are the best items in the game. Go farm them. If you need any help, stop by the stream. I'm literally making groups all the time, trying to pair people together. Let's farm the bosses. If you've got the mats, but you're too weak to kill them, let me know. I'll come kill them for you, no problem. And let's get you the Shacos and the materials, and let's build all of our godly characters. Thank you.